This is Ken Hance, the best storyteller in Texas. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's segment. There was a guy in Dimmitt named Alann Webb, and I knew him growing up, and he's a good guy, and I knew he served in World War II. He was a pilot, good pilot. And I went fishing in Mountain Home, Arkansas one time, and I'm not a fisherman. And I met a guy that was a lawyer there, and he had flown with Alann in World War II and told me a story about him that I did not know. Alann was 27. He was a colonel, and he had a lot of planes under him, and he flew.
It's a young colonel.
And he was the lead, and they were flying out of Burma to China to deliver supplies to troops fighting the Japanese in China. And they were flying the hump, which means flying over the Himalayan mountains. And they lost a lot of planes one night, and the next night they were getting ready to go, and a cyclone had moved in, and it was pouring down rain, and every one of his pilots wrote a sick note. They were sick, couldn't go. And so he ordered them all down to the flight plan room, and he said, look, guys, everybody has put down their sick, and they're not going. And he said, and I understand you're scared. I'm scared. You don't want to go, and I don't want to go. But we got people dying in China because we're not getting them supplies. We got to get them supplies. And this is a big, important part of the war. And he said, I'm not going to move to court-martial anybody. I'm not going to reprimand you in any way. You got to live with your conscience. But I'm going to fly tonight, and I'm going to come back. And he looked on the front row and pointed at the guy and said, Billy, I'm going to get your plane when I come back and fly it. And as long as I can fly, I'm going to fly everybody's plane until we unload all that supplies. And he went out to get in his plane. Everybody else went out and got in their plane, so they didn't lose plane that night. But he was talking about, he's a courageous guy, and also he's a base commander, and they had segregated living facilities. And the people that were segregated, the African Americans that were segregated, somebody came running in and said they're marching up here, and they're mad, and they've got clubs, and there's going to be a fight. And somebody said, should we shoot at them or shoot over their head? And he said, no. And he went outside, and the MPs went out with him. He made them go back in, and he met them head on by himself. And he said, what's the problem? And they were mad, and they told him their living conditions, their food, everything was inferior. And so he marched back down there with them, and they were right. Mm-hmm. And he came back and put in orders that they remedy it. And he said, it was funny when they were ending up a service, every one of those guys realized what a fair person he was, and that he provided good leadership. And he said it didn't matter what color or where they were from, that they all loved Colonel Alann Webb from Dimmitt, Texas. And I did not know. I'd have called his daughter, Alann, and told her about that, about the lawyer telling me that story. And I'd never known. He didn't go around telling war stories. Mm-hmm. He just served and did what he's supposed to do, and he was back in Dimmitt farming. But what a hero.